everybody, Matt TheLowCashHomestead. A company contacted me, wanted me to try out and review their indoor-outdoor humidity and temperature sensor. I did open the box. I started this video before and it stopped, and I'm not sure why because I checked and have plenty of memory. So this is the sensor, and there's nowhere to USB charge that, but it does have a battery door. So you open the battery door and it looks like it takes AA's there. This is the monitor. And you open the battery door on this. You can see it has some buttons on there, and it takes AAA. So the sensor takes a AA, and the screen takes a AAA. So I would first suggestion I would say as a consumer is make them all take the same battery. Actually, the primary suggestion that I would say is that this came with 0 instructions. So without instructions, I'm not really sure what its capabilities are. Other than we're going to put some batteries in it and see if we can get it, kind of guesswork it to work. There are several buttons on the back: set, memory, channel, and Celsius or Fahrenheit. So we're going to put some batteries in it. We're going to go put the sensor in one of the greenhouses and see. It's a pretty good distance from the greenhouse to the house. And we're going to kind of just see if we can keep an eye on our nightshade house, which is our tomatoes and peppers and eggplants, with this little device. There's not much I can tell you about it because they didn't send any instructions. All it says is indoor measurement range is 14 degrees to 122 degrees Fahrenheit, and outdoor range is -40 Fahrenheit to 158 Fahrenheit. And it doesn't tell me what its range is or anything, and again, it came with no instructions. So it has no instructions, so I'm not sure I'm going to be able to set it up correctly. And it takes 2 different types of batteries, so that's definitely the first negative that I see when I'm reviewing this. So let me put all the batteries in it. We'll take it outside and see if we can get it working. Okay, so I haven't even taken it outside yet, but looking at the wireless sensor, it says that it's 78.3 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's in the house, which I have no idea why it would be that warm in here.
Right now, the thermometer.
What's the thermometer on the?
It says 47 degrees.
47. 74. Okay, so the thermometer in the house says 74 degrees, and we're actually in the house, and this says 78.4 degrees. So we have a 4-degree difference there. And then between the sensor and the monitor, it says 78.3. Relative percent humidity is 58%, and then it's showing 57%. On this screen and 58% there. So we're going to take this outside and see how much reading we get. I'll be right back. Okay, we're in my tomato house, and I just kind of stuck the sensor up there. I don't know if you can read it real well, but it says 80.8 degrees Fahrenheit, 66% humidity inside the tomato house. So we're going to walk back to the residence, and we're going to take a look at the remote sensor there. Okay, see, now it's 81.5, and we're just going to see if we can get a general idea, because in the house we had a 4-degree difference. Okay, so back in the house it's showing 78.8 and 60 degrees. Now it was showing us 80-something degrees on the external monitor. As far as do I have this calibrated right, I don't know, because there were no instructions. Is there something in the back that I could use to fine-tune and make sure that these 2 devices are totally synced together? I don't know, because they had no instructions. So first things first, it looks like it's got a couple of degrees where the sensor will read a few degrees, but the pad may not. I also don't know what the range on this is, because again, there was no instructions and no information included with the device. But as of right now, it appears to work within a few degrees. You got, what do you play? Oh, you got Spider-Man and dollhouses?
We faked you tie him up.
Okay, you're faking to tie up Spider-Man. That's something. Spider-Man's really strong. He could get out. Okay, so otherwise I don't really know how to operate the device because, again, it didn't come with instructions. So I think it'll give me a good idea of a general idea of, you know, how hot the tomato house is, if I'm going to need to go out and vent it or things like that. As of right now at 78. And then, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're actually going to go and take... It's all right. It's all right. They're just playing. It's fine. So we're actually just going to take the little remote monitor and we're going to go out and we're going to just kind of side-by-side compare them and see how accurate we are, because again, I don't know what the range is because it has no instructions, and in the house we noticed 4-degree temperature difference from what, you know, the thermostat in my house said to what the remote probe said. Alright, so I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so the wireless sensor, and you may not be able to read it, but it says 87.1 with 66% humidity. And then the screen here is saying 80.1 degrees and slowly climbing in 74% humidity. It's also saying 78.8 degrees with 60% humidity. So none of these numbers line up to what the remote sensor has. And again, if there's a way to sync these, I don't know it, because it did not come with instructions. I can't emphasize that enough. So in the future, for anybody who wants me to review a product, please send it with instructions. So as of right now, okay, so now we're starting to balance out a little bit. Okay, so there's definitely a delay between the wireless sensor and the internal thing. So, okay, so now it's saying that we're 88 degrees Fahrenheit. The wireless sensor is saying 88 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's saying 67% humidity. And the wireless sensor is saying 67% humidity. Okay, so at least that those parts are starting to sync up. And I realize maybe it just takes a little bit of time. So there is a certain latency in getting the interior monitor lined up with, and when I say lined up, I mean it takes there's a certain amount of time that's going to take for the wireless sensor to, you know, get the internal unit to be reading the same information. So otherwise, I don't really know what else to do with it because it doesn't have any instructions. So for anybody else who wants to, you know, have me review or take a look at some of your garden technology or your agricultural technology, please make sure you send it with instructions. This is Matt with... Okay, so final thoughts on the Smart Pro SC92. Final thoughts on it. One, it came with no instructions, so I am unclear on how to use its features. And two, the next thing that I would say is it uses 2 different kinds of batteries for 2 different products. My suggestion to the company that makes this and markets this would be it should all be USB rechargeable. Whether that's micro or mini USB or USB-C cable or anything like that, because let's face it, the fact is that our lives operate at 5 watts, 4 amps. Modern life operates at 5 watts, 4 amps. These operate on dry cells, namely AAA and AA. Having to require 2 different batteries for this, I think, is a downside. Having the inability to just bring it inside and charge it up on one of the 9,000 USB ports that we installed into the walls here at the TheLowCashHomestead, that is also a negative. And then the last thing is, without instructions, how do we know that we are getting the maximum out of this unit? This is Matt with TheLowCashHomestead. That's my viewpoint on the Smart Pro SC92. And I hope that the individuals who asked me to market this, asked me to review this, definitely take into consideration those 3 points. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Oh, and the other thing is that there's no external supply. So if this is the internal unit, this is the part that I keep in my house to remotely monitor, you know, whichever greenhouse or garden I've put this in, well, there's nowhere for me to plug it in. There's no DC adapter, there's no USB, anything. So I think that is clearly a a huge downside to this device is that you can't USB recharge it, you can't USB operate it, and it requires 2 different types of batteries. Add to that the fact that it came with no instruction manual, and we're gonna keep an eye on it and see how it performs. There's also a latency issue between the sensor that goes outside and the monitor that goes inside, and it took like 10 or 15 minutes to actually start catching up. You may not see that on the review because I'm walking back and forth between my residence and the greenhouses, so maybe a little less latency between the 2 devices would also be a positive. It's just an honest review of a piece of equipment. I'm not sponsored by them, but they did send it to me and ask for my honest opinion, and so that's my honest opinion. This is Matt with the Low Cash Homestead. Thank you very much. Have a good day.